Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fearless Female Entrepreneurs, where you will receive expert advice and inspiration from 20 fierce feminine leaders and entrepreneurial experts who want to help you supercharge your power as a feminine thought leader and initiate your own powerful rising. And today I'm so excited to be here with Cailen Ascher. Welcome, Cailen.
Hi, Jocelyn. So glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this. And before we introduce your topic, I just want to welcome everybody who's joining us live here on Zoom. So if you're here live on Zoom, go ahead and put your name and location in the chat. It's always so much fun to see where everybody's calling in from. Don't be shy. Put your name and location in so we can welcome you here. And while everyone's doing that, then I will go ahead and introduce your topic. So Cailen's topic is 3-day work week, full-time income, part-time hours. And I just can't wait to get into this with you, Cailen. So let me introduce you to those who are not already familiar with your work. Cailen Ascher is a business coach and the founder of Success Made Simple, a revolutionary framework that transforms under-earning entrepreneurs into abundant business owners with part-time hours. Best known for her 3-day work week, Cailen has been featured in Business Insider and Huffington Post and has been interviewed for Entrepreneur on Fire and She Means Business podcast, among many others. Her coaching and teachings have helped thousands of women upgrade their lives and businesses with her Success Made Simple strategies for working less, making more, and living better. Cailen lives in Bucks County, Pennsylvania with her husband, 2 daughters, and a spunky dog named Olive. For an insider look at Cailen's 3-day workweek schedule to see how she works just 3 days a week and runs a 6-figure business, visit www.cailenascher.com. Okay, so Cailen, can you begin by telling us a little bit more about your 3-day work week and how did your life's journey lead you to create this?
Yes. Oh, it's such a great question. And thank you so much again for having me in. It's always fun hanging out with you. And so this is such a fun opportunity to be talking live. Yeah, so my 3-day work week. I have been an entrepreneur for over a decade, and I was a struggling entrepreneur for a very long time. I was trying a bunch of different businesses over the years, really trying to figure out my thing. And then my husband and I found out I was pregnant, and it was kind of this interesting place of I'm working all this time on my business, making very, very little money, and now we have a new baby on the way, and does it even make sense for me to continue forward? It was kind of this make or break moment. And after taking some time off after she was born, I was thinking that, I really don't feel like I would be the best mom, the best wife, or the best me if I just let this dream that I've had forever just fall by the wayside. And so I sat down and thought about what would feel really, really good. And it's like, if I had a 3-day work week where I had 3 days for my business and to work on those projects, and then 4-day weekends with my new baby and my husband and family time, that would feel amazing. And so the lifestyle piece of it right off the bat felt really, really good. And then it became this kind of interesting experiment. Can my business be sustained or even grow and scale within this new framework? And the interesting thing that happened for me and my business was that within a few months, I was making double, triple, quadruple what I had been making previously, because all of these little shifts that now I'm very aware of in retrospect, hindsight's 2020, all these little shifts started to occur that stepped me into that next abundant phase of my business. And within about a year and a half, I was running a 6-figure business, working 3 days a week, and have been ever since. My daughter's now 4.5. And had another baby in the meantime, was still able to maintain that schedule and take off time with her, and my business has been growing. And so now a lot of women find me because they hear about this like mythical 3-day work week. And now I've condensed down what the process is, what the framework was that enabled me to have this work for myself and my business. And I teach that to my clients and through my programs.
Awesome. Yes. I love your story. Love it. And it's such a great example of, when we tune in to what's meant to be and to what's right for us, what feels right in our heart, then it gets us closer to our purpose and what we're meant to share with the world, right? I think your story is just such a perfect example of that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I want to point out, I think this is so important. So the 3-day work week, you're not working 3 days, like 12 hours a day.
No.
It's so important to let everybody know that. Like, these are 3 days, and well, you tell more about it.
Yes. And no, that's often the follow-up questions. Like, oh, are these like 16-hour days or these 18-hour days? No, not at all. My workday begins between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and I'm normally wrapping up between 4 and 5. Sometimes a little earlier, honestly, if it's been like a creative heavy day and my energy's kind of tapped out, I might wrap up at 3:30 or 4. Yeah, these are very, like, my work week in entirety is normally about 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some key things that you have done to make your 3-day work week possible?
Yes. So one of the very first things I did to figure out how to make this work for me was to take a look at what I was doing during my working hours. I was kind of in this rhythm of just working all the time, filling all the space that I had available. And then becoming a mom, I realized, hey, I need to figure this out and put some boundaries around my working hours. It can't just bleed out into whatever available time there is. And so one of the very first things I did was a time inventory, essentially. I sat down, I had just really, really basic. I just had like a notepad piece of paper next to my desk. And every 30, 60 minutes, I would stop and just make a couple notes about what I focused on or what I was working on during that time. And that gave me such rich insight into what I was actually doing during my working hours. And I did my best not to shift anything. It's really challenging. I give this assignment to my clients and they're like, I wanted to start changing things right away.
Right. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, you will have that inclination, but as best you can, just do what you've been doing and be a witness to it. And you'll soon realize there are so many simple shifts you could start making, batching like tasks together, eliminating things that are repetitive, and possibly thinking about where to receive support, where to outsource, where to automate. All of those things started coming to light just by bringing some awareness to what I was currently doing.
Yeah, fantastic. So what are some tips that you have for our listeners here who are interested in working fewer hours and making a great income, even maybe making more income than they're making right now?
Yes. So after you kind of have a sense of what you're doing and what you need to have time for, the next step that I did and that I love working through with my clients with is creating a model calendar, taking a look at your available working hours. And this isn't about every little bit of time that you have available outside of your responsibilities. This is sitting and really thinking about what would feel good, what would feel amazing, what kind of working schedule would be truly supportive of me, my life, my family, and my business. And putting that time on I call it a model calendar. I normally work in like Google Sheets, or you could do it in Excel, something like that, where you can map out what your week ideally would look like. And here's the trick. You want to start with non-negotiable family, personal, self-care things first, not the business stuff. You want to make sure you're getting in the things you need. For me, that means my daily meditation, my daily yoga, some movement in the morning, time with my girls and my husband. And that's why, even though I wake up really early at like 5:30, my workday doesn't start till 3 or 3.5 hours later at like 8:30 or 9 a.m. because I've built in that morning practice and that morning time because I need that first. So those things go on that calendar first and foremost. And then if you've done that time inventory, you see like, oh, I generally need time for this every day. I need time for this every week. And you can start kind of dragging and dropping those items into that model calendar and finding space and time for all of those essentials that you need to include in your working time.
Yeah, fantastic. And what would you say if somebody is working on this, and what do you recommend to your clients if they're setting up their model calendar and feeling like there's just not enough space for all the things?
Yes. So as women and as business owners, we tend to take a lot on, right? Like we think, I can do it all. And for a long time, I did do it all. And I kind of prided myself on it. I was like, I can do all the admin and all the creative and all the graphics and all the everything, everything flowed through me. And then I realized as I was studying other successful women and their businesses, not a single one of them was a truly solopreneur. All of them had some kind of support in place for themselves. And when I realized that, it gave me permission to think about outsourcing. And again, this can go back to that time inventory. If you're looking at that sheet and thinking, oh my gosh, I spend so much time doing things I don't enjoy or I'm not good at or aren't making money. If you could pay someone $15, $20 an hour and in that time take on a new client or create a new program or a new service or a new product to sell, your time is so much better spent because your time is so valuable. And so for me, I realized that I didn't need to be doing all of the things. And it was a really liberating sort of realization that, hey, I could hand this off to someone else. And if someone's thinking, oh, I can't even imagine hiring anybody, I'm too new in my business, or it's just not the right fit right now, I am sure there's things that you could systematize or automate that would save you so much time. If you check your emails only twice a day or once a day instead of every 15 minutes, or you turn off all notifications on your phone and your computer so nothing's popping up or pinging you and distracting you from your focused work time. There's a bunch of little tiny upgrades you can make, and you'll soon realize that if you're making highest and best use of your time, you actually don't need a ton of time to accomplish really profound things for yourself and your business if you're in a space where you're not feeling run down because you're working hours that feel good for you and you're being focused during that time.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, I think so much of this is a shift in a mindset.
Yes.
A shift in our perspective, how we're looking at this and how we're assessing, what's really most important, what really needs to be done by us. So
yes.
Yeah, so important. So what if someone doesn't want the 3-day work week, the structure that you've created? And I know I've shared with you, like I have a 5-day work week, but I have lots of self-care structured into each day. And I really like it that way. I like spreading out the self-care, So what do you recommend for someone who wants a slightly different model?
Yes, that's such a great question. And it's one I get all the time because people do find me and they're like, 3-day work week, that sounds amazing. But I've got a full-time job or my kids are in school, so I can't work 3 longer days. And this is nothing I'm sharing is about you creating exactly what I have, but exploring what makes best sense for you and your life and your business. And so taking an honest look at what would work for you and your family if you have one, and your work schedule and your energy. I mean, some people, I'm a morning person, so I know that if I can get really solid hours like before lunchtime, like 9 to 1, I'm good. Like I've accomplished a lot during that time. I know there's other people whose best working hours is after everyone else is sleeping, like at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they want to work from 10 to midnight. And that's their prime hours. Totally not for me. I'm like asleep by 9:30, but for some people, so it's about honoring what truly resonates and makes sense for you and crafting it, giving yourself permission to craft it however feels best. And also, I should add, to pivot and transition and change it if need be. I'm very well aware, my girls are young, so I've got a 4.5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, should be 2 next week. So right now, they're in school Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and my work week mimics that. I'm sure when they are in school and a little older, Monday through Friday, like 9 to 3, my work week will likely shift to mirror that so that I'm working the hours that they're gone. So this is also about just seeing what season in life you're in and where you're at in your business. Maybe you still have a full-time job or a part-time job or a bridge job while you're building your business. So your working hours are going to shift and change as you and your business shift and change as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's so key, that each of us is going to have a slightly different approach to this, and again, it's just so important to find out what's right for us as individuals and follow that. So I'm curious, what is the, as you guide your clients through this process, is there any place that you see that people tend to get stuck? And if so, what is that? And what do you recommend when that happens?
Yes. So there is a place that we all get stuck, I would venture to say, nearly all of us. And it's in this concept that I talk to my clients about called real time versus ideal time. And a lot of us, when we're building that model calendar for ourselves, we're thinking in ideal time. We're like, oh, I can bang out that email in an hour. I can do that Facebook Live in 10 minutes. I can, whatever it is. We're often just giving ourselves the time to like be in the task and not prep time or kind of host time. And this goes with client sessions too, like, 60 minutes for a client, not factoring in 10, 15 minutes of prep and 10, 15 minutes of kind of like wrapping up stuff, getting things in their file, whatever it is. So often what then happens is they step into this model calendar and they're like, I feel rushed. I don't have enough time for things. I feel stressed. Why is this thing that's so beautiful on paper not functioning for me right now? And it's because they're often putting too much in it and not putting some breathing space or some buffer time between those activities. And to start noticing, like, oh, when I sit down to write, I need a good 3 hours to feel like I've made real progress. That I don't want to just write one email if you're batching content, like I want to write 3. So instead of budgeting 1 hour, I really need to budget 3, which means I need to rethink this calendar a little bit to reflect what really makes sense, the real time that is required in real life. And also to realize, are you pushing yourself too long and too hard? You're like, oh, I'm going to have this 3-day work week sounds great. I'm going to work 8 to 6, 3 days. By that third day, you might be feeling totally burnt out. Or maybe you're feeling burned out by 3:30 on the first day. So maybe looking at that and really honoring your working energy hours, that's a huge factor too. And so noticing in those moments when you're in that push mode, that striving, that hustle, rather than really allowing this calendar to help you find your flow with your work and your flow in your business.
Yeah. Yes, I could see myself getting stuck there.
Yeah.
Things come up or things take longer. So yeah, I think it's so important to be patient with ourselves too, right? Not judge ourselves if the ideal schedule doesn't work out in the first few weeks, to really be open to how it needs to be adjusted and tweaked here and there.
Completely.
Yeah. Well, I know so I was taught since childhood, right, that you have to work really, 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 really hard to be successful. And I think so many of us carry that. I think that's such a part of our westernized culture, right? We learned that in school. We learned that when we started working. And so I think that's a belief that's so important to really address in looking at what you're teaching here. So what would you recommend? How can we overcome or move through that belief about having to work really, really, really hard?
Yes. I love that you brought this up because this is an epidemic, I think, honestly. Yeah. We are taught that the only way to succeed is to hustle, is to push, work 24/7, sacrifice. It's just, when I really sit with it, it's so unbelievable to me that for so long, I myself, who believes that I can create any business that I envision, I can design my life in any direction that I want, but I thought there was only one way to be successful, that I had to hustle and push and strive, work 24/7, this really like masculine approach to it. And when I looked at that, kind of removed myself, I was like, it's so interesting that I think I have total creative domain to build any business I want, but that I have no say in how I create that success. And it's like, it's either one or the other, right? It's
right.
either
yes.
domain, or you totally have to subscribe to something that there's like one way, one model. And so that was kind of just an aha moment for me, that I'm like, oh, this is so ridiculous that I think I have to subscribe to this one way to success. And I would say for all of the women listening and watching now who are thinking like, I really do believe that I have to push and struggle and hustle and whatever those beliefs are for her, I think one of the most powerful things we can do is surround ourselves with examples of women who have done it differently. Mm-hmm. Because when we start seeing that as the reality around us, we start to warm up to the possibility that it could be our reality too. And so you've got two examples right here talking of women who are not in that hustle place to achieve success. And to caveat this, I will say there is something to consistency. There is something to endurance. There's something to inspired action. This isn't about like, I sit around and like, oh yeah, I don't feel like working today. Like I show up on my work days, even if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not quite there, but I'll step into it. And often once I start engaging with the work that needs to be done, I'm ready for it again. So there is something to showing up, right? Showing up consistently, but with the right kind of energy. And that's the difference. And you get to define what that is. Some people, they have higher energy. They want their business to be electric and exciting and fast moving, and that's great. They can show up with that kind of energy. I'm at a place where I want things to feel steady and easy and calm and focused and on track. And I won't say comfortable, but like on a nice, scalable, sustainable level. Mm-hmm. And we get to pick what that is. And so I would ask everyone to think about that, to take a moment and think about like, what do I want my success to feel like? Because you're not going to arrive at success feeling in the flow and amazing and abundant if right now you're on the track of hustle, rush, push, worry, stress. Like the two just are never going to meet.
Yes, I so agree. And this is, as you know, such a big part of why I wanted to create this event, to really let's all get into a conversation about how we can create a more feminine way of doing business in our masculine-dominated, business-oriented society. It's so important for us to be opening up to this idea. And this is something I share with, every single one of my clients and people who come through my programs, is that you get to choose, you get to design it.
Yes.
Set it up from the earliest point possible to be the way you want it to be, the way that makes you feel really good and happy.
Yeah. It's so important to have events like this where you're exposing these, exposing your audience to 20 plus women who have taken that ownership, that creative domain, and stepped into a business that's really reflective of what makes sense for them and changing the world in a big way. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of it.
Oh yeah, this is fun. I love talking about this stuff.
Well, thank you so much for all that you've shared here. And I want to open it up to Q&A in just a minute here so that we can also let our audience ask you some questions. But I want to first share your free gift, which is the 3-day work week schedule. I want to share that with everybody. So could you just give us a little more information about that and what's included?
Yes, of course. So the 3-day work week schedule is a PDF guidebook, essentially, that gives you a day-by-day breakdown of my work week so that you can see exactly what I'm doing during every hour of the day, inside my working hours and outside of them. So you kind of have a sense of how I set my mornings up, how I set my evenings up, and also what I'm allocating time for during the week. Something that we didn't touch on, but that you'll see inside the 3-day work week schedule, is that I break my work weeks into A weeks and B weeks. So on my A weeks, I work with all my clients, and on my B weeks, they're open for content creation, for project development, things like that. So this has really really helped me to honor my 3-day work week while still growing my business, because I have time and space on a regular basis to move my business forward. And so you'll see exactly how I break that down, and then a description of, a detailed description of exactly what each task includes for me. And there's also a fillable template so that you can start designing your own ideal work week if that's something that you want to step into.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I love that A week and B week, because so often we get caught in the doing, and I have to see all my clients, and I love that separation. So you have time for the visioning and the creativity, so important. And so I just put the link. So everybody who is on the live call here, I just put the link to claim Cailen's free gift in the chat box there. So go ahead and click on that. You can claim it right now. And if you're watching this as a recording, just scroll down a little bit below the video here, and you'll see the link to click on right there. So everybody go and grab that. It's really valuable. It's really good. I have read it. I have immersed in it. It's amazing. It's awesome. So thank you, Cailen, for offering that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, and I know you're offering also an extra bonus gift for those who upgrade to the unlimited lifetime access. Would you like to share a little bit about that too?
Yes. So the bonus gift is again, another guidebook, and it's called The Phases of Business. And so what this guidebook does is it shares with you the 5 phases of business that I have learned about in now being in business over a decade. And essentially what this will help you see is exactly what phase you are currently in of the 5 phases, and also give you actionable tips and strategies about what it takes to move on to the next phase of business. So just to give you a little preliminary sense, the first phase is the dreaming phase, where you're very new in business, sky's the limit, so many ideas, but you're not yet taking consistent action in a linear direction, and you're not making really any money. And so from there, we want to get you into the doing phase, where you're starting to take linear action, you're really landing on some of those core pieces of your business, who your ideal clients are, what your packages are, and you're starting to make some money. And then from there, we want to progress you on to the flowing phase, where you're able to build in more support, more systems, more sustainability into your business, and start scaling your income upwards, so that you're able to feel more in flow rather than in the doing of everything. And so that's just kind of a high level view of those initial phases of business. And when you get that bonus, you'll really get to see exactly where you are, and then that step forward to get to the next phase.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that in more detail. And so I'm just getting this link ready here now. So for anyone who would like to learn more about the unlimited, to learn more about unlimited lifetime access, and also to learn more about Cailen's 5 phases of business training, and to get that as it is included in lifetime access, just click on this next link that I'm putting in the chat here. Okay, wonderful. So thank you again, Cailen. This has been so fantastic. So I want to open this up for the audience to be able to ask questions as well. So for anyone who would like to ask Cailen a question, don't be shy. Come on over. We love to talk with you. So you can either click on the hand icon, which is to raise your hand, and in that case, we'll bring you over on video or audio, whichever you prefer, and we'll chat with you live and in real time. And also, if you prefer, you can put your question in the Q&A box or in the chat, and I will look for those and ask them to Cailen, and she can give an answer. So let's see, we do have a comment, not really a question, but a comment from Monique. She said, "Thank you for modeling this for me. I want to create my own business, and I don't want to work too many hours. I have a job right now, and it's all about push and hurry, and it's so not who I really am." Yeah, I hear you, Monique. Yeah, what do you recommend, Cailen, for those who are still needing to work full-time or part-time while they're getting started?
Yes, I think a lot of women in my community honestly are, still have full or part-time jobs as they're transitioning into their work. And so again, the key here is really to think about those feel-good hours that you do have available for growing your business. It would be really easy to say, oh, I get in at 6 o'clock, I'll have some dinner, and then I'll work from 7 to midnight. So that's 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. That is not going to be sustainable. I venture to guess. I mean, maybe somebody has it. I certainly wouldn't. You have 1 hour a night and a couple hours on the weekend. So you have, maybe 8 or so hours a week. You can do so much more with 8 really aligned, productive hours than you can pushing yourself trying to fit in another full work week on top of your already busy day job. And so with hopefully seeing, if you do grab that freebie, the 3-day work week schedule, you'll see that I'm only working 15 to 20 hours a week. So even if you can only fit in 5 to 10, you can start to glean maybe some of what I've been doing during my working hours and modify that to fit around whatever your current schedule is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important to know that we should try to have, like you said, 8 really focused hours.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to kind of cram it in wherever we can throughout the evenings and all of that, because we'll just end up exhausted that way.
Yeah, something that I often share with my clients is that we've all had that experience where we maybe move into a bigger house and from a small apartment, or my husband and I, we moved from this little 600 square foot cottage into a 5-bedroom home. And this was when my daughter was born. And suddenly the house was filled with stuff. This happens for time too, right? Like whatever time you set aside will suddenly be filled with stuff. Yeah. But if you have a smaller place and you choose really consciously all the decor and all of the furnishings, there's such beauty to that, to the simplification. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're putting a framework, a boundary around your precious time, and then you're only going to put in what is the most valuable, the most precious, and that's going to move you and your business forward in the most aligned way for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and to start out that way, right, with that level of focus is just going to be so beneficial throughout the whole rest of the time you're in business, to start out clear and focused that way. Okay. So let's see. Does anybody have any questions? This is your big chance. I know Pamela has shared in the Q&A another comment. She says, "Thank you for your information. I like the idea of the calendar because I need something to help me so that I'm not all over the place." So that's really, really good, really helpful. And okay, great. Daisy is raising her hand. So Daisy, let me bring you over. And everybody, as I always say, don't be shy. Raise your hand. We love to talk with you. Okay. Hi, Daisy. Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, how to redirect, my mind to make it that consistent, the consistency in my life, I know with so much going on, I get lost with everything. So just, that one consistent thing that would really make it, that will really start the momentum. And another thing, I have a lot of issues with computers. They shut down. I don't know. I tend to think it's like my aura just blows up, all the electricity. I swear, it's happened. I walk in a shop and then the cash register is shut down, and this happens to me all the time. So I'm like, I have a notebook, I have my calendar on my, phone, but it's like, I feel like I'm going back and forth, with it. So I just want to know, what would be the best one consistent calendar that I could possibly, rely on.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Do you mind just sharing what your business is?
Well, right now it's more of the spiritual path. I love the whole, I love holding space for men and women, so we could collaborate together. I have 7 boys. There's this what is it? Uproaring feminism that's coming up, that I feel is really aggressive, and I'm over here to think, no, hold on, where's the balance, So I'm more of the womb men, that I am creating the space for men and women to collaborate together. I have a place out in Bodfish. There's 42 acres that I am remodeling, a place where we could have retreats, So it's more of the spiritual aspect, transformation, holding space for, everyone, man and woman. So that's where I'm going forward with.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So a one-on-one business model where you are coaching and then maybe running some retreats for them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So in that, and especially in the earlier phases of your business, what I would focus on in terms of consistency is personal outreach to potential clients. I think there's a lot of glitz and glamour around all the techie stuff of like running Facebook ads and all of those online elements that do very well to grow your community. But in terms of actually getting paying clients, I would focus on a more high-touch personal approach. And that doesn't take very much technology at all. It would mean making a wish list of 10, 20 individuals that you would love to connect with on a deeper level and inviting them to have a 15, 20, 30-minute call with you just to get to know one another. Start planting those seeds. And if you reach out to one person a day, that's 30 people a month that you'd be touching with and planting those seeds. And I have no doubt that that would build the momentum for you. And that would take 5-10 minutes a day. It could be as simple as that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I could see myself doing that. I love the one-on-one personal, face-to-face type of things. Okay. Makes total sense.
Perfect. Yeah. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Daisy, I want to share with you about the computer shutting down, because that always used to happen to me. Always.
Yes.
It's an energetic thing. I really do. I have found that, and I know you do a lot of spiritual work, so you may already be doing this, but if I am very grounded, like I need to make sure I'm grounded before I get on a Zoom call. I need to really connect in.
Right.
So try that and see if it makes any difference. That's what made a shift for me.
Right, exactly. I've had somebody gave me an Organite once before, and that seems to work. So thank you for that. I will have to keep on that. No, it is. It so is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Here's a question from Alice. She says, I very much recognize the struggle and I'm still in it. More struggles coming in. Underlying them, there is a sort of uncertainty. So a mindset shift and maybe regular meditations are necessary to change my own behavior. Do you have any other tips about that?
Okay, so in terms of a mindset shift around all of this, like I said earlier, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And this type of event, this type of community is exactly where you want to be spending your time, because all of the women here believe in their ability to work fewer hours and create more, be more prolific, create more income, have more time, all of those beautiful things. And so this is a really powerful first step to be immersed in this community. Moving forward, to deepen that, I would look for a mastermind group or a group program or working with a mentor, being closely connected with women who carry this type of energy and believe the things that we all believe about our ability to create amazing lives and businesses. And you'll start realizing that without much stress or struggle, your mindset will start to naturally shift, naturally open up. You'll be exposed to new ideas, new perspectives, and you'll start to just grow into that. I also love reading. I've got a stack of personal development books next to my bed that I turn to. Almost every night I spend time reading before bed. In the mornings I spend time in meditation and yoga. And yes, I do enjoy them, but I also know that I need these things to keep me on track with my truth, what I really believe about what it takes to be successful. And that success can be simple, and it can be easy, and it can be enjoyable. There's so many podcasts out there who speak to similar topics. I mean, these interviews, you've got a whole, slew of them coming your way with so many women speaking to this. So it's about exposure first and foremost. And it seems like you're very self-aware. And that's a huge piece of it too, because just by shining that light of awareness on those negative beliefs, you start to breathe some space. You're no longer one with the belief. You see it as something distant and distinct. And just by doing that, there's room to insert something new. There's room to kind of cut ties with that and say, hey, why is that coming up again? Why is that storyline about this is what it takes to be successful? Or why is that storyline about that I have to push myself to the brink in order to succeed? What is that about? And what do I really want to believe? I want to believe that I can create success in a way that feels good for me, in a way that serves me every step along the way, that can be easy and enjoyable. Start just doing some self-coaching and some self-talking into what you really want to be believing. I mean, it's been a lot of time doing that, talking to myself every day. So it's not something you should feel silly about doing. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah, thank you, Cailen. I think that's such great advice. And yeah, this, Alice, this process of surrounding yourself with the 20 women in this event, as well as what Cailen has suggested, listening to some really positive and uplifting podcasts, when you kind of immerse yourself in that positivity and in that new perspective and new outlook, it kind of happens by osmosis, right? You'll start absorbing these new beliefs and taking them on more and more into your own being and your own life. So yeah, I really wholeheartedly agree. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Last call to ask Cailen a question here. Okay, I don't see any others coming in. These have been really good questions that you all have had. Let's see. Okay, Linda has one question. Just wondering if you have anything to say about the effects of the subconscious on creating and maintaining momentum towards success.
That's a really interesting conversation, and one that I am definitely not the expert on, Linda, but I can just share from my own personal experience that I have been working a lot with hypnosis lately, both working with practitioners who are leading me through hypnosis, and then also guided hypnosis techniques. And I mean, more than anything, I just really enjoy them. And I think anytime we're doing something that we enjoy, it has to be having a positive ripple out effect on other areas of our lives. And so I definitely believe that the subconscious is very, very powerful. But I also think that even if it's patterned maybe in a way that's currently not serving us at our highest potential, there are definitely ways to work through that, repattern that, so that it becomes your ally in whatever you're hoping to create. And so I would say, if it's something of interest to you, if you feel like it's coming up for you, explore it. Talk to a certified hypnotherapist, or just start investigating some guided hypnosis or reading about it, whatever speaks to you. Because if it feels like something that's coming up for you or blocking you, then it's worth taking a look at, because I think things appear for a reason, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And if I could add to that a little bit, Linda, I think it's so important when we're feeling like our subconscious is, our subconscious beliefs are undermining us in some way. I think it's really important to look at our childhood and our teenage years, like those really early years, and see, was there a message that we got repeatedly again and again and again? Or was there a message that we got maybe very strongly through a traumatic event that we're still carrying that forth as a belief now in our adult life? Those can be really powerful. Hypnosis is definitely a great way to work with those kinds of beliefs, but it can also be helpful just to identify that belief is coming from something that happened to you or happened in your world or was, taught to you from a very early age, and that it's not, you formed that belief to help you through that situation at that time, but you don't need to keep carrying that belief now, right? You're an adult now, you're a whole different person now, and you're able to really work on releasing and letting go of that old belief. Sometimes that can help you move forward quite a bit. So, okay, great. Linda's saying, interesting affirmation. I have been working with hypnosis and inner child work. Okay. Well, you're right on track, Linda.
Yeah. She's already doing it. Good job.
So keep on doing that because, yeah, that's great. Love it. Okay, well, I think we'll go ahead and close now as I don't see any more questions coming in. So thank you again, Cailin. It has been so wonderful, as always, to talk with you and learn more about all that you're doing. And yeah, I really appreciate you being a part of Fearless Female Entrepreneurs.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Jocelyn. Thank you so much for inviting me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
And everybody, we will be gathering for our second live interview today at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. New York time at this very same Zoom link. And that will be with Claire Dubois, founder of Tree Sisters. So make sure to come back here to the Zoom link. You don't want to miss her interview. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.